The heavy royal vaults, weighing thousands of pounds, were lifted using jacks. The thieves rolled inside one by one, only to find the vault completely empty. Seeing this, the thieves couldn't help but smile broadly. No one would ever imagine someone going to such lengths just to break into an empty vault. Outside, the hackers jumped for joy. They immediately called their leader, telling him everything was set. Now they just had to wait for the wealthy owners to bring the treasures directly to them. The next day, just as planned, the owners placed their most valuable jewels inside the vault, one by one. A jewelry auction was set to happen in 8 hours. 42 exquisite pieces from 13 different countries were carefully stored inside by the auction staff. After the final crown was secured, the auctioneer slammed the vault door shut. It was then sealed tight with a double lock system using facial recognition and fingerprints. The security was so strong that even with keys, opening the door would take at least an hour. However, nobody suspected that these clever thieves had already made their own secret entrance. They put on special dust-proof gloves, isolating themselves to avoid leaving any fingerprints. Even tiny things like falling dandruff would be caught in their clothes, leaving no trace behind. After ensuring they wouldn't leave any traces, the operation began. The hackers switched the security camera feed to a pre-recorded loop so the guards wouldn't see anything happening live. Even if the thieves were jumping inside, the guards wouldn't know.
Lanzo video ante cámara. Listo.
Team members used a remote cart to move a section of the concrete wall they had previously cut. One by one, the thieves slipped through the opening into a hidden corridor behind the vault. Using jacks again, they lifted the heavy vault door just enough to create an opening, allowing them to easily get back inside. This time, however, the vault was filled with the 42 priceless jewels set for auction. Outside, the auctioneer was busy with paperwork, having no idea the treasures inside were about to disappear. The boss had given clear orders: be meticulous, operate like ghosts, and leave zero evidence behind. They started carefully packing the jewels. Following the auction list numbers, they gathered each piece systematically, ensuring nothing was left behind. Every piece inside was worth millions. In just 10 minutes, the thieves took everything. But stealing the jewels was only the first step. The biggest challenge was smuggling them out of the high-security building. With the auction just 7 hours away, they had to clean up everything before sunrise. First, they welded the cut section of the vault door back into place, repainting it to hide any marks. They vacuumed the hidden corridor meticulously, leaving no dirt behind. Once clean, they repositioned the concrete wall section and sealed it up. Finally, they carefully replaced the bricks in the access tunnel, making it look untouched. By doing this, they completely erased any sign they were ever there. They left their tools behind in the hidden corridor. Later, the crew returned to their hotel, blending in as regular tourists. They didn't make a quick getaway. Instead, they acted completely normal, planning to sleep until morning. The idea was that acting ordinary would make them less suspicious. At the same time, the team cleaned their hotel rooms and erased all data from their devices. One member, Jimmy, handled the jewels. He placed them in vacuum bags, sucked out the air, and hid them inside ordinary-looking cans labeled as flying fish. After sealing the cans, the priceless gems looked like simple tinned goods. The next morning, acting completely casual, the crew left Paris in different groups, maintaining their tourist disguises. Two members, Glasses and Harper, left Paris on a bus, disguised as backpackers. The police wouldn't think thieves would use public transportation. Meanwhile, Jimmy and two others pretended to be a family driving an RV. They took quiet country roads heading towards Spain. They believed their plan was perfect, but unexpectedly, even the very remote route they picked had a large police presence. One of the men, Riley, started to panic. He grabbed the canned fish tins, opened a hatch in the RV floor. Riley said if the police decided to search, he planned to jump out and escape through the hatch. Jimmy told him to calm down, reminding him their plan was solid and the police wouldn't suspect a thing. But as an officer waved their RV to stop, Riley grew more anxious, ready to jump. However, they were surrounded by open country. Running wouldn't get him far against police firearms. Jimmy ordered Riley to shut the hatch right away. Just then, the RV stopped abruptly, almost hitting the police officer standing there. Riley put the cans back and tried to compose himself for the inspection. Although they acted calm,
Casi me matas.
Lo siento, de verdad, no he visto. Venía discutiendo con mi hijo, bueno.
The officer stated he needed to search the vehicle as per routine. Fortunately, the group had fake identification ready. Jimmy explained they were a family visiting France to pay tribute to his late wife. Riley chimed in, vividly describing how visiting France was his mother's lifelong dream. Despite their performance, the officer proceeded to check a cabinet. Oddly, he ignored the fish cans and instead took out an urn. Dakota quickly said it held their mother's ashes. Hearing this, the officer stated he would have to take the urn because transporting human ashes across French borders without official permission is against the law. They couldn't take the urn across the border. Riley became visibly upset, arguing, "We brought our mother here to fulfill her dream, and now you're taking her from us? How is that fair?" Despite their feigned anger, the officer stood firm about confiscating the urn. To make matters worse, he then asked them to open the urn and the cans stored in the cabinet. The three thieves felt their hearts pound with fear. Dakota suddenly grabbed the urn and bolted out of the RV, running frantically. She ignored a warning shot from the police and only stopped when another bullet struck the ground right in front of her. Surrounded, she wept desperately, holding the urn protectively, pleading for them not to take her mother. In the ensuing scuffle, the urn fell, scattering the ashes all over the ground. Seeing the ashes scattered, Dakota broke down, sobbing uncontrollably, a performance worthy of an award. Her dramatic display made the officers feel bad, and feeling sympathetic, they decided to let the family go. The police had absolutely no idea that the 42 stolen masterpieces were hidden inside those simple fish cans they'd overlooked. Although they'd passed this checkpoint, escaping France was still far from guaranteed. Since even this quiet road was guarded, they figured there would be more police ahead. The leader decided it was best to find a local campsite and lay low for a while before moving on. They set up camp and even rigged some defenses on the RV for safety. Unfortunately, trouble found them anyway. Riley and Dakota, no longer pretending to be siblings, were seen being affectionate near a river. By chance, the same officer who stopped them earlier saw this and immediately knew their family story was a lie. The police were alerted. Soon, hundreds of armed officers surrounded the RV, but Dakota, relaxing inside, didn't notice at first. However, Riley felt something was off. The normally bustling campsite nearby had gone eerily silent. They instantly knew they were likely exposed. They managed to warn Jimmy, who was away buying groceries, telling him to escape while they stayed to handle the police situation. Quickly, the police commander gave the signal, and the armed officers began moving cautiously towards the RV. Snipers were ready. Unexpectedly, gunfire erupted from inside the RV, started shooting. The police fired back, leading to a tense standoff. The commander ordered his team to pull back slightly for safety. He then used a loudspeaker to tell the person inside they were completely surrounded and should give up peacefully to avoid anyone getting hurt. Robin responded over a speaker, shouting that if the police tried to force their way in, they would fight back fiercely. However, he proposed a deal. Give them 5 minutes, and they might tell the police the location of the stolen jewels. The commander agreed to wait. 5 minutes later, a message came from the RV, revealing an address purported to be the jewels' hiding place. The commander told his team to verify the address. However, a sharp blonde officer stopped them. She pointed out that the loudspeaker used by the thieves moved identically each time. It looked automated, not operated by a person. Acting on her hunch, she boldly approached the RV and threw open the door. Inside, she found her suspicions confirmed. The loudspeaker and the gun were mounted on a rig. The whole negotiation was a setup to stall for 5 minutes, giving the thieves time to get away. The jewel location they gave was clearly fake, meant only to stall. The blonde officer lifted a carpet inside the RV and found the floor hatch. Looking down, she discovered the thieves' clever escape route. They had parked the RV perfectly over an open manhole. They had slipped away into the tunnels below. Realizing the thieves couldn't be far, the tactical team quickly followed them down into the sewer system. Riley and Dakota knew they had to get out of the sewers fast. With the police close behind, discovery seemed imminent. Just then, Riley spotted a parked delivery truck and had a clever idea. He sent Dakota to a nearby store to buy strong tape while he approached the truck with a knife. By the time the police arrived in the area, Riley and Dakota had climbed onto the truck's roof. They cut a slit in the canvas tarp covering the truck's load and then carefully taped it closed again. They planned to hide within the folds of the canvas cover. The police began searching vehicles in the area and soon reached their truck. Hearing the officers below, Riley whispered to Dakota to get ready to hold themselves up using some kind of support. An officer opened the back of the truck and looked inside, but saw nothing out of the ordinary. He had no idea the two fugitives were hidden just above, silently holding themselves up inside the tarp. When they heard the truck door shut, they let out a quiet sigh of relief. However, the officer was meticulous. He spotted something and started to climb up to check the roof.
Ahora.
Just as he reached the top, He seemed to change his mind, perhaps thinking he was being overly suspicious. He shook his head and left. Riley and Dakota had narrowly escaped discovery. They stayed hidden on the truck until it drove far away, unknowingly carrying them along. Once safe, they climbed down and resumed their trip to Spain. In this way, after facing numerous challenges, the entire crew managed to successfully smuggle all 42 valuable jewels back to Spain. Reunited safely in Spain during a heavy rain, the crew wept with happiness and relief. After this adventure, they went on to live quiet, ordinary lives.